My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 82 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. But before I do, let's look at the resounding success that was UFC 295. Some of you might be looking up what the word resounding means, but let's just say amazing, massive, incredible success. We crushed everything. All of my bets hit except Mackenzie Dern because she sucks. Jacob crushed his bets. His underdog lock of the week hit. The premium member only safety parlay hit again. That hits at a 70% clip. And this is a parlay week in and week out for every single event. Last night it hit. The UFC Vegas 82 safety parlay is up. If you want to unlock that, WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. But we weren't the only ones that dominated last night. The rest of our community did as well. And before you tell me this was an easy card, everybody, Twitter's a graveyard of people that had a whole bunch of wrong bets and bad picks. Not our community, not us, our community. These are premium members only. I will never show a ticket that is from somebody who isn't a premium member. And these are the premium members that took a screenshot of the ticket, brought it to the Discord, and posted it in the premium member only posting section, meaning any outsiders aren't sneaking in there. Point being, our premium members, there's almost 3,000 of them, are killing it. They're absolutely killing it. WTNB crushed. He crossed the $50,000 in winning on one single ticket line. Good for him. That's a giant feat. This guy on Instagram sent me about 11 pictures of wild tickets saying another great night, only $10 a month. What a steal. And a whole bunch of other tickets, bets, people betting tens of thousands, people betting $10. And that's the beauty of all of this. It doesn't matter how much you bet, whether it's a huge number that feels wild or just a couple of dollars to have fun with your friends. Either way, it's only $10 a month to become a premium member, and you're going to get full access to everything we offer at WeWantPicks.com. You're going to get the tools like the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every single fight on every single card. This card specifically, UFC Vegas 82. One fighter, Ailin Perez, opened as a dog and is going to close as a favorite. 9 fighters have had 20% line movement or more, meaning they became much larger favorites or they shrunk down to much smaller favorites. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, and analytics. This is a 38-column spreadsheet that you can work your way through. You can see the last 5, the striking stats, the wrestling stats, the takedown defense, the odds for win by KO. And then you can see how many significant strikes they land per minute. It's a whole incredible data set for you to help you find your spots, to help scare you away from some potential landmines. And the point of all of this is, of course, premium membership. It's only $10 a month. You're going to get the picks, the bets, the round line leads. You're going to get all that. But then you're also going to get tools and insight and information to help you find your own picks. There are no less than 10,000 people with a Patreon. Because first of all, you know what it takes to make a Patreon? 3 clicks. Boom, here's a Patreon. Give me $5, give me $10, give me $100. There's my Patreon. We have a full-blown interactive website with tools and insight embedded onto that site. You can sort, dig in, do all the things. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. But wait, there's more. There's a DraftKings optimizer. This will literally build lineups for you. If you don't do DraftKings Fantasy, maybe this doesn't matter to you, but I do encourage you to check out DraftKings Fantasy because, if anything, it's just a lot of fun to build a lineup and compete on some of these cards. But the optimizer will build lineups for you. You're also going to get more than just me, more than just handsome Jake. You're going to get other analysts as well. So when you log in the premium, there's a full analyst drop down with multiple people that have their own custom pages. And on those pages, you have their picks, their bets, their insights, their round line leans, all of that. Artem's going to break down, yes, UFC, but also Bellator, LFA, all the other regional promotions. The Pick Doctor is breaking down fights and giving you picks based solely off of data. It is an artificial intelligence making picks off of historical data. You're going to get the MMA Minute. MMA Minute has 30,000 followers on the TikTok. MMA Minute is giving you his picks, his bets, his round line leads, his method of victory. You're going to get Running Mouth MMA. They have 3 people. There are 3 of them that you're going to get their insight and their information. All of this and so much more is available to you right now for only $10 a month. Just click become a member at WeWantPicks.com at the top. $10, boom, you unlock all of it instantly. No tiers, no like, oh, for $5, you can get these 3 things, and then for another $20, you can get it. No, $10 for everything. That's why we have almost 3,000 members. And my goal, being transparent, by the end of this year is to have over 3,000 members and 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, voice cracked. That's not a puberty thing or a low testosterone thing. That is a I was up screaming at the TV all night thing. Anyway, if you're watching this and you don't subscribe, that costs nothing. I know I just pitched a whole bunch of shit that does cost something. That costs nothing. Click the subscribe button to get to 20,000 would be absolutely incredible, and I appreciate every single one of you. To think that me and that scrawny bum that lives 10 minutes up the street were able to build something like this is incredible. Couldn't do it without you. So click subscribe. That costs nothing. We appreciate you. Also, watch the Fight Foods vlog. If you don't know what that is, it's a little peek into our personal lives. Every single pay-per-view, we record the day. Sometimes we do some super fun stuff. We cook some really good meals. We do a whole bunch of stuff. People come over, watch the fights, all those things. Watch the vlog. It's not up yet if you're watching this the minute I post it, but this will be up Sunday afternoon-ish, early evening. Check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but I know what I recorded, and the editor is fantastic, so I imagine it's going to be a very good video. So check that out. If you haven't seen one of those before, go back and watch them. They're entertaining, whether the event has passed or not. And again, follow the socials. Socials cost you literally nothing. I will highlight Discord. I mention Discord a lot when I talk about premium because there are some premium channels inside the Discord, but the Discord is 100% free. You can click the link in the description, hop in there, talk to the people, hang out with the people, look at all the stuff, and it's free. Everything is We Want Picks, all the socials. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm still wearing last night's clothes. I smell like the grill. But I'm going to go ahead and break down this card because I'm riding high, baby. I didn't sleep very much, but I'm riding high. UFC 295 was great. I'm feeling good about UFC Vegas 82. If you haven't peeked at this card, this is actually a good card. There are a bunch of fights on this card that actually matter and are very competitive. Typically what happens when we get towards the end of the year, the UFC slaps together a whole bunch of crap because they're contractually obligated to offer every fighter on the roster 3 fights a year. So by the end of the year, they're like, oh, shit, we owe, Joey Dum Dum another fight. And then they just slap together some nonsense to meet that quota. This card's very good. This card does not feel like that. We got a whole bunch of good matchups. And this is actually one of them. Opening up the UFC Vegas 82 fight card, we have Jeka Saragih taking on Lucas Alexander. Lucas Alexander was supposed to fight 2 weeks ago in Brazil at home against David Onama. David Onama dropped. They rebooked him. He had to schlep all the way to America to fight this in Las Vegas, but this could be a very good fight. Lucas Alexander's a powerful striker. He likes to showcase. He uses kicks really well to manage range, and then he's going to explode inside the pocket. He does have some okay grappling, but it's mostly defensive, and he uses that defensive grappling and wrestling to end up on top and win some of those scrambles. He's got big power, a diverse striking style, solid training partners, and when he has his cardio, which is not all the time, it can be a real threat. He's coming off a dominant win over Steve Peterson where he was fast, powerful, and he threw a ton of kicks. He's taking on Jeka Saragih, and like Lucas Alexander, Jeka's insanely powerful. So much so that he almost doesn't need to be good at anything else other than landing that one punch. And this, he looks for the chin. More often than not, he does find it. But what's even more impressive is that he also does have some grappling and BJJ in his back pocket. He can work in some takedowns and submissions if he doesn't find that power. Overall, he's a well-rounded guy. But like so many others, he found the power, and he gets sucked into this head-hunting trap. He's coming off that loss to Anshul Jubli, where he just could not defend the takedowns. Lucas Alexander's going to be better here. He's just going to be the better fighter. He's going to have the same power as Jeka, but better technique, better BJJ, more high-level experience, and that defensive wrestling is very good. I like Lucas here. I have a feeling that Jeka's just going to be swinging at air, looking for the big punch, not getting to it. Lucas is going to win this fight. Both of these guys have crazy one-punch power. The 3-1 odds on Lucas seems a little wide because Jeka could end this at any moment. But Lucas Alexander should be better literally everywhere and should win this fight. Then we have Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson's had a rough 2023 so far, and he's looking to bounce back against Rafael Estevam, who is undefeated. Never a great bounce-back spot, but Charles Johnson is a busy technical striker. He's got solid takedown defense, really nice hand speed. He does have good output at almost 5 significant strikes per minute, and he can keep that pace for 15 full minutes. Outside of a stoppage win over a returning, slow, old, sad Jimmy Flick, we haven't really seen one-punch power out of Charles Johnson or any real power in his hands. He's coming off that lopsided loss, though, to Cody Durden, where he was taken down 11 times. He's taken on Rafael Estevam. This guy's a high-pressure grappler who's going to throw bombs to close distance. He has absolutely no issues marching forward with heavy strikes and then looking for takedowns. His takedowns can be a bit sloppy. They tend to be trips or drags, but he is relentless with them, and he will continue working to get you to the ground. Once you are down, he does an amazing job of softening you up and then working in submissions. He's got really good back control, and he's a very dangerous grappler. He was supposed to make his debut in both April and May, but he doesn't really have the best of luck of keeping these fights together. Charles Johnson has 2 separate fights where he was taken down more than 10 times. I'll still argue that he's got some decent takedown defense, but his get-up game is very strong. To be taken down 11 times means you got up 10. He's got very good BJJ defense, but he doesn't make people pay for their entries, so they have no problem shooting again. They're going to shoot. They'll take him down. He stands up. They shoot again. It's not as if they shoot and he's just really laying it on them, and then now they have to wonder, oh, God, should I try this again? That hurt. No, he just gets taken down, works his way back up, and then that cycle repeats itself. The odds here are dead even. It's -110, -110. Those are dead even odds, and I think they should be. Charles has shown that high pressure can be a problem for him, and while Estevam does have grappling pressure, his takedowns are sloppy. He's pretty unproven, even though he's undefeated. I usually lean experience in these matchups. Typically, I would go with Charles Johnson here because, he's got the high-level experience. He's fought, all those things. But I don't know if I can trust this guy anymore. I really don't. Charles has had more than one fight where he has not showed a sense of urgency. He's down, and he doesn't say, I need to make something. No, he just continues the pot shotting and the dancing and all of that nonsense. So I don't think I can fully trust Charles Johnson. I'm going to go Rafael Estevam here for the win. Low confidence pick here. It's going to come down to the judges. I don't see a finish. And we've seen Charles Johnson not do enough to impress the judges, and I don't think this is going to be any different. So Rafael Estevam is the pick. Then we have Chad Anheliger taking on Jose Johnson. I honestly hate saying Chad's name. I feel like I'm dangerously close to saying something I should not say. I'm just going to call him Chad from here on out because it is not worth mispronouncing this dude's last name. Although I do think he wins this fight. Let me talk about why. He is a solid prospect, Chad. Chad A is a solid prospect. His fighting style is power striker. He does have some solid BJJ if it gets to the ground. He does set a nice pace, and he does hit, again, incredibly hard. His takedown defense is just okay. It did fail him in his last fight, but his sweeps and get-up game can be impressive. If he gets on top, he will just tee off. He has 3 fights in the UFC, but he has given up 9 total takedowns, including 2 in his last fight, which was a loss to Haley Alatang a little more than a year ago. He's taking on Jose Johnson. This guy's a long Muay Thai striker who uses his length well. He likes to come forward and control the center with that speed and that length. He's got versatile striking where he uses teep kicks, clinch work, and traditional boxing to touch people up. He does not have the best takedown defense himself, but he does have some good trip work for offensive takedowns, and he has some very solid pure BJJ. He's coming off that short notice twister loss to Damon Blackshear, but we know how good Damon is, so I wouldn't put too much stock in that loss. And this is an interesting matchup because it is 2 prospects. They're both coming off grappling losses. Both of these guys can struggle with takedown defense, but I don't think either one needs it here. I don't think these guys are going to be shooting, so the other person's not going to be defending. This could be a pure striker versus striker matchup with Jose having the slight edge because of the reach and the clinch work. The power advantage will be with Chad, but he's going to need to close that distance and land something meaningful, and I do think he does that. I think he'll just power his way in, get close, land to the head, back up Jose Johnson. Jose's not going to like the pressure, so I'm going to lead towards the slight underdog in Chad, letter A, period. He's the pick, and he is a slight underdog, so if you agree with that pick, then you can go ahead and get him at some plus money right now, but I don't know how long that'll last. I don't know if this line's going to go the other way. Couple fights on this card. I mentioned it's a good card, and you know it's a good card when there's not a whole bunch of minus 700 favorites. You have a whole bunch of 155 favorites, and it's like, oh boy, those could go either way. So this is one of those fights. Then we have Jonathan Pearce, JSP. I hate that that's his nickname. Jonathan Pearce taking on Joanderson Brito. Typically, I mentioned these end-of-the-year cards are low quality, but this is a great matchup. This is not a low-quality fight. This is a phenomenal fight, And I'm looking forward to it because Jonathan Pearce is a solid wrestler. He sets a nice pace, both on his feet and on the ground. He's got decent takedowns, good BJJ. He averages almost 6 takedowns per fight with an accuracy of 56%. As soon as he gets his takedowns, he's looking to strike. He's typically looking to TKO you instead of submit you. In 18 fights, he has only been to a decision 3 times. He leaves it all out there, and it's obvious when you see that pace. He's very fun to watch. Has a take one to give one striking style, and he's coming off that decision win over Darren Elkins where he had 2 takedowns and doubled the strikes. Joanderson Brito is a fast, athletic grappler with solid top pressure and a wide array of submissions. Striking is not technical, but he's going to come forward and throw bombs. Big, wide punches and heavy kicks with almost no regard for what comes back his way. Even though he is comfortable striking, he's going to look to get it to the ground, and he's going to work from there. He averages almost 4 takedowns per fight, but he can be taken down if you pressure him. He's coming off that stoppage win over Weston Wilson. And right now, Jonathan Pearce is the minus 150 favorite. That feels about right. He had insane pressure. He just has incredible pressure in his fights. And Joanderson can be taken down when you pressure him. Brito's going to be the far more dangerous striker. I don't know if he's going to have the opportunity to strike, though. I don't know if he's going to have the chance to let his hands go. I think he's going to get taken down immediately. I see Pearce just diving at legs. So Jonathan's going to be the pick here because of that wrestling pressure. But he might get Grant Dawson and just absolutely folded with a lazy jab. I mean, that Grant Dawson haunts my dreams. Him and Gabriel Bonfim should start a promotion and just bum it up over there. And what a joke. Anyway, Jonathan Pearce should win this fight. I don't have a bet on him yet, but I'm getting increasingly more confident. And then I remember, Grant Dawson got chinned instantly by a guy that also doesn't have a ton of power. So if I'm smart, I'm not going to bet on this fight. And if I'm just looking at odds all day, trying to make something happen, I probably will end up betting on this fight. Then we have Mick Parkin taking on a Caio Machado. A couple of heavyweights here. Heavyweight strikers. This is another fight with wild odds. These odds are way too wide. Because, yes, Mick Parkin is a good-sized heavyweight. He does a good job slowing the pace when he wants to. He is going to come forward. He's going to throw 1-2s. And then when he gets a hold of you, he's going to take away that sting. He's going to slow you down, get that striking pressure away from you. He really does a great job of grabbing you, leaning on you, and slowing everything down so that he can do what he wants to do. He'll potentially work in a takedown from there. He does have some solid BJJ. He will shoot his shot on submissions, meaning he'll take some chances. But he uses it well to keep control on top if he gets you to the ground. He's not particularly fast, but he will wrestle more often than most heavyweights, and that keeps him out of trouble. He's coming off that UFC debut win over Jamal Pogues, where he actually didn't need to wrestle at all, and he controlled the striking. He's taking on Caio Machado. This guy's a very well-rounded guy. He is the new generation of heavyweight, meaning he's not massive. He sits at the 250 mark. He's a big guy, 6'4", 250. But he's not 265. He's not 280 cutting weight. He's a big athletic guy that has range, and he stays active instead of being just a big, slow, lumbering one-punch guy. Not the cleanest striker in the division, but he does have volume and footwork. He's going to back up, throw counters, as well as push forward with jabs. He's got nice clinch work, okay takedowns, and underrated BJJ. He's more active than most, and he uses that cardio to keep a pace. I mentioned these odds are wide. They're concerning. We've got Mick Parsons at minus 330, and while I agree he's a prospect, he is relatively unproven. We haven't seen him get pressure. We haven't seen him work through adversity, and that might be because he's just so good and he's been dominating people that he hasn't need to. But we don't really know. Until he has a couple of more fights at a higher level, we won't know how good he actually is or isn't. I think Mick's striking is probably going to be more technical here, but I think Machado has more power and more volume. The odds do scare me a bit. I feel like I'm missing something. What am I missing that Mick Parkin is a minus 330 favorite? Caio Machado, he's got one loss. He's looked good in every single one of his fights. We've seen him grapple. We've seen him have wild striking pressure. And we don't know what Mick's going to look like with that wild pressure coming at him. He might drop, shoot a takedown, ride this out on top. Maybe that's why he's a minus 330 favorite. I understand him being the favorite. He's the undefeated guy. He can wrestle. He can strike. But I actually, heavyweights can be unpredictable. Don't bet on this fight. If you do, go the dog. I hate saying dog or pass, but go the underdog here. I think this is a very close fight. The slightest of slight leans probably towards Mick because he can wrestle if he needs to, but unproven, and I can't spend my money on that. Then we have Lucie Pudilova taking on Ailin Perez. This is another interesting fight. I'm very confident, and I'm probably going to bet on this, but it's interesting nonetheless. Lucie Pudilova, powerful striker who likes to circle when she's throwing big, heavy 1-2s. Does not have incredible volume, but she stays busy and she throws with intent. Recently, she has started to work in takedowns. She's got 4 takedowns in her last 2 fights. She is 3-6 in the UFC, but she is coming off that loss to Jocelyn Edwards, which I can confidently say was a bad decision. She should have won that fight. So she should be 4-5 in the UFC. Not a great record, but she's fought some decent people. She's taking on Ailin Perez. She is notable for twerking on every single social media platform. She also has been teasing straight up pornography on the Instagram. So I don't know what that is all about. And typically there is the OnlyFans fade and all that crap, but she proved in her last fight that she has insane cardio, insane pressure, a ton of takedowns. She is mostly a grappler, but when she's striking, she does have a nice long jab, and she'll use that to plot forward and walk her opponents back. Grappling-wise, she uses her size and strength to bully people, to ground and pound, to work in trips and drags. Once she hits the ground, she does get way too aggressive. She literally starts falling off of the top while looking for submission. She's got no control on the ground whatsoever. But as I mentioned, in that last fight against Ashley Evans Smith, she had 10 takedowns. She literally set the bantamweight women's record for most takedowns in a fight. She didn't get tired. She didn't slow down. She just kept working and grinding. And I have to trust her. She's only minus 150. I feel like that's a pretty good deal, honestly. Somebody with that cardio, that wrestling pressure, I feel like that's a good deal. We know she's got the incredible cardio. We know she has the wrestling. We know Pudilova can get taken down. I like Ailin in this spot. I mean, even if she's 80% of what she was in her last fight, she should win this. So minus 150 feels like a good deal, and I will have a money on her there. A money line on her there. Then we have Trey Ogden taking down Nikolas, taking down. I need to slow this whole thing down, take a breath. There's 14 fights on this card. I'm still reeling from last night. The voice is starting to go. I told you I still smell like the grill. I definitely didn't sleep enough. I'm very excited. When we have such good cards like we did last night, I just want to keep that train rolling. We had 50 new premium members sign up yesterday. Everything is just amazing. And then I just start talking way too fast, so I'm very excited. We have Trey Ogden taking on Nikolas Motta. Nikolas Motta is a very good striker. He's explosive. He's athletic. He moves well. With his speed, he's diverse in his striking style. He's got solid takedown defense as well at 100%. He has not been taken down in the UFC. And that confidence in that takedown defense allows him to be loose with his striking. He does a very good job being patient and then pouring it on when he sees his opportunity. He's coming off the quick elbow KO loss to Manuel Torres. He's taking on Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden's an athletic grappler. He's got solid takedowns, decent power in his hands. He's absolutely a grappler. But if you run through his tape, you'll see that even in some of his submission wins, he's dropping people with strikes and then snatching something up. His takedowns are really well timed. He does an excellent job of lowering his level and shooting blast doubles as his opponents come in. He's coming off that loss to Ignacio Bahamondes, where he was just way too tentative and didn't do enough. This is an interesting fight because while Motta should be the much better striker, Trey is a durable guy and he's got relentless pressure. Nikolas is going to stay busy on the feet and keep Trey out of that wrestling rhythm. And if he can do that successfully, he can win this fight. If he can defend the early takedowns and make a statement with how fast his striking is, should be a very clear win. Trey is tough, so I do think this is going to be a Motta by decision kind of fight. I think it'll go a little bit long, but I am leaning the Nikolas Motta side. Then we have little baby Alex Pereira here. Actually, they're the same size. Well, no. Nobody's as big as Alex Pereira at middleweight, but anyway, we have Cesar Almeida following that path. Glory kickboxer, working his way into MMA early. He actually fought Alex Pereira 3 times and he beat him once. And he's taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. Cesar Almeida, as I mentioned, he's a big-time professional kickboxer. He's had success at the highest levels and fought Alex Pereira a couple times. He's 1-2, so he did lose to him twice, but he beat him once. Alex Pereira now, by the way, 2-weight division champion in Glory Kickboxing, which is like the highest tier kickboxing, and now 2-weight divisional champion in the UFC. The dude has 11 MMA fights. He literally, on paper, is one of the greatest combat sports fighters of all time. It's actually crazy what this guy is. That's crazy that we get to see this. Anyway, Cesar Almeida, I'm comparing him to Alex. So far, it's a very similar path. He does everything that you would expect a high-level kickboxer to do. He's got clean combinations. He's got big power, good work. He's very dangerous. Every second that this fight remains standing, he is very, very live. His takedown defense is still a bit unknown. And yes, he defended 7 takedowns on the Contender Series, but those weren't actually clean shots. They were just like trips and drag attempts. But overall, Cesar Almeida is a very dangerous striker who you will need to take down to the ground if you're going to want to have any success. And that's what Christian Leroy Duncan's going to need to do. But he's a high-pressure fighter. He's got 7 finishes in 8 wins. He's not really used to taking his time and then shooting a shot. He comes right at you. He's got multiple regional championships. He does have a single win in the UFC. He's a powerful striker himself. He comes forward. He brings that pressure, speed. He's very creative in his striking. He throws anything and everything at his opponents. He's got no regard for what comes back in his direction. He's wild. Sometimes he's sloppy, but he is very, very dangerous on his feet, and he's got solid ground and pound if he ends up on top. He's coming off that decision loss to Armen Petrosyan, where he was just trying way too hard to be flashy, and he was beaten with good old-fashioned technique. This fight comes down entirely to Cesar's takedown defense. That's it. If Cesar can defend takedowns, he'll win this fight. If he keeps this standing, he will smoke Christian Leroy Duncan. Christian Leroy. Should I just say Christian Duncan? Or just Leroy Duncan? I hate the 3-name thing. It's ridiculous. Is that like his middle name? Is his last name Leroy Duncan? Did his parents, like his mom, refuse to take his dad's? Like, pick 2, like everybody else. Anyway, if Christian Leroy Duncan is going to be spinning around and trying to be the fun, exciting guy like he was in his last fight, he's going to get smoked. We just watched him lose to a technical striker. We just watched that happen in his last fight. But he does have wrestling. I'm hoping that loss, getting rid of his undefeated record, the loss to Armen Petrosyan, I'm hoping that's enough to be like, okay, let me fix some things. Let me stop trying to be flashy. Let me just come forward. I need a win. Let me establish myself that I can win these fights. Duncan is the better wrestler, obviously. And Cesar defended against Lucas Fernando on the Contender Series, but Christian's a better wrestler than him too. So I am going to lean Christian Duncan here because this is an MMA fight. I do not see this going the distance. Cesar is a guy to keep your eye on. This feels very much like the Jiri Pajeda fight, and we saw how that went. But I'm still going to lean Christian Leroy Duncan here. I'm hoping that loss woke him up a little bit and he realizes, okay, a little less exciting and a little more focused on trying to win these damn things. Then we have Jonny Parsons taking on Uros Medic. And this is another banger. A couple of guys that are going to come out here and strike. I don't imagine there's going to be much grappling at all. We have Uros Medic. This guy is a clean, technical striker. He comes out fast. He's nice and loose. He has a 100% finish rate in his 9 wins. He's got speed, power, legit killer instinct. If he smells any blood, if he thinks that, like, oh, I think I've got him here, he's just going for broke. His takedown defense sits at 80%. And not only did he just defend 2 of Matt Semmelsberger's takedowns, he took him down as well before getting the stoppage in round 3. He's taking on Jonny Parsons. This guy is a very exciting fighter. He's just literally going to bomb away. He's so sloppy, but he is just going to bomb away. And anybody who stands with him can be in some real trouble if they play that game. If you're a technical and patient, you could probably light him up. He throws big looping shots. Everything's got some sting on it. And while he does tend to get sucked into firefights, he actually is capable of solid technique. He has nice leg kicks. He's got good footwork. But then he just gets sucked into a firefight. His takedown defense does hold up well. There isn't much takedown offense because he is here to bang. He's coming off that knockout win over Danny Roberts where he showed everybody how incredible his power is. This is striker versus striker. That's it. It is a striker versus striker, and it is a clash of styles. Jonny wants to make this an ugly, dirty, gritty fight. Uros Medic wants to keep it technical, use the speed, the footwork, and light him up from the outside. And then if he comes in, it's because he's got him dazed. He's got him messed up already. I say this all the time. If you watch all my videos, you've heard this before. That old adage is you box a brawler and you brawl a boxer. Meaning, if you're Johnny Parsons, do not fight a technical fight with Uros Medic. You have to brawl him. Make it dirty. Suck him into your world. And if you're Uros Medic, do not brawl with Johnny Parsons. Don't do it. Keep it technical. Keep him at bay. Use your jab. Box the brawler. I think Uros is going to win this fight. We know that some of these more technical strikers that are patient and can control themselves light these wild, exciting guys up. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Uros Medic's going to light up Johnny Parsons because he's going to be more technical. He's going to stay on the outside. When he does come in, it'll be well-timed, all the things. Johnny Parsons will be live for knockout, as he always is, but I do not think he's going to find it here. Uros Medic is the peak. That was so dumb. Then we have Luana Pinheiro taking on Amanda Ribas. I can't imagine where Jacob's hands are while doing the research for this fight, but mine are right here. Nothing creepy going on here. Amanda Ribas, as we know, she's very well-rounded. She's headed back down to 115 pounds, right? She was here at 115, went up to 125, mixed success, back down to 115. She started her career as a grappler. She's added striking. She's now comfortable everywhere, fully well-rounded. Her striking stats are solid with almost a 5-3 striking differential and a 64% striking defense. And to round her out, her takedown defense is very solid at 88%. She's got plenty of cardio. She's always willing to fight. She's coming off that stoppage loss to Macy Barber, where she had a couple of takedowns, but she was caught in a brawl, and that just didn't go well for her. She's taking on Luana Pinheiro. Luana Pinheiro is a powerful striker with solid takedowns of her own. She averages almost 3 takedowns per fight, and she has no problem swinging wild while running forward. She's a high-volume fighter with knockdowns in half of her UFC fights. She's coming off that decision win over Michelle Waterson, where she did get shut down. She was 0 for 5 on takedown attempts, landed fewer strikes, and she was actually taken down herself. And when I first saw that Ribas was a 3-1 favorite, I thought, well, that's insane, right? She's coming off a wild knockout loss. And not only does Luana have big-time power, she also has grappling. And then I watched Luana's last fight, that fight with Michelle Waterson. And it was clear that while she does have some raw talent, I don't think she's ready to hang with some of the better, higher-ranked women in the division. If Amanda stays controlled, doesn't get sucked into a brawl, which she does tend to do sometimes, she should win this fight. She's going to be the more physically imposing fighter, especially at 115 pounds. And hopefully she uses that strength. I said that. My tongue was like 10 times the size of my mouth when I said strength. To grind out takedowns, grind out a win. Amanda's going to be the pick here. But honestly, the bet is going to be Luana Pinheiro inside the distance, decision, no action. If you don't know what that means, basically, I'm going to bet that Luana's going to win inside the distance, so by submission, by knockout. But if it goes to a full decision, if she loses a decision, even if she wins a decision, I get a full refund on that bet. I get all my money back. Those make sense when you have this situation. A very, very dangerous person who is a big underdog. The props will drop probably on Tuesday. Sometimes they drop on Mondays. And when those props drop, I'm going to look for that one. I'm going to hit it, and I'm going to post it on a website. And I'm going to post it in the Discord. If you are a premium member, go to your account page, link your Discord. This way, when we post our picks and bets, you get an instant alert to your phone. So if you like something, you can jump on it before the line moves. If you don't like it, you put your phone back down, you finish playing Candy Crush on the toilet. I don't care. If you're not a premium member, become one. It is only $10 a month. And every single one of our premium members paid for years worth of premium membership on UFC 295 alone. WeWantPicks.com, click become a member. It is only $10 a month. Then we have a prospect, and the UFC threw him on a main card. We have Peyton Talbot taking on Nick Aguirre. Peyton Talbot is a very real prospect, and the UFC is looking to build him up. He's a flashy striker. He's got a lot of movement and power. He's tall for the division, and he stands tall. He throws out 1-2s at an incredible pace, and then he finds the big shots. He's got decent takedown defense, and if he is taken down, he stays busy, and he looks to work back up. He can be out-grappled, though. If you go watch his regional title defense against Crithin, that's not a lisp or an issue or a speech impediment. That's his name. It's not Christian. It's Crithin. Ribas. He looked like he was on his way to losing that fight before finding a finish in the third round. He does have composure. He does have some power, but he probably needs to work on his wrestling. He's taking on Nick Aguirre. This guy is coming off a short notice UFC debut loss, but that was, a short notice UFC debut loss. Before that, he was undefeated with all stoppage wins, and only one of them made it out of the first round. On paper, he's an absolute killer. But then you look a little closer. You see that the combined record of his pre-UFC opponents was an abysmal 11-29. Style-wise, he's a wrestler, he's a grappler. He wants to come out, throw a few punches, then immediately shoots. He will shoot clean doubles, get you down, and then work through positions while striking the entire time. He does not have takedown defense, but he does have slick BJJ and is always working for something. His striking is nothing to be desired, but a full fight camp might actually help him out here. There's another interesting line, right? Peyton is going to be the much better striker and the more dangerous fighter, but he can be taken down. He can be out-grappled. Nick is a grappler, but I don't think he's going to be durable enough or busy enough to steal this. So Peyton's going to be the pick, and the UFC is clearly trying to build themselves another star by throwing this kid on a main card in his official UFC debut. But, I mean, I've seen odds at 4-1 favorite, 5-1 favorite. Like, those odds seem a little wide, and I'm sure come fight night he's going to starch this dude. And it's like, yeah, of course he was a 5-1 favorite, but I mean, he is still a young UFC debut with only 6 fights under his belt. Then we have a Battle of the Dorks, a jiu-jitsu nerd-off, if you will. We have Chase Hooper taking on Jordan Leavitt. I call them dorks, but actually both these guys have awesome social media presences, and they're actually both kind of fun to watch, even if they're pulling guard and scooting their butts across the mat like a dog with a dingleberry. But we got Chase Hooper. 12-3. He's amassed himself a nice little record. He's a slick grappler. Unfortunately, he has below average striking and wrestling. His takedown accuracy is somehow worse than Jordan's at 22%, and he has no get-up game if he is taken down. He is a young prospect, and he can have success, but he needs to have careful matchups. He's coming off the decision win over Nick Fiore, where he was out-wrestled, but his striking has made giant improvements. He's taking on Jordan Leavitt. Jordan Leavitt's an old-school grappler. I do a lot of breakdowns, and in my breakdowns, I say, oh, he's well-rounded. She's well-rounded. Yeah, no, that's not the case here. Jordan's very one-dimensional. Subpar striking, decent wrestling, great BJJ. The problem with Jordan is that because his striking isn't any real threat whatsoever, he can't really use the striking to set up takedowns. And because his wrestling is less than okay at 26% accuracy, he needs perfect setups to get takedowns, which are not easy to come by. And he's coming off that stoppage win over Victor Henry. Right now, we're like 3 fights in a row where the odds are crazy to me. Chase is a minus 250 favorite. I don't know why. These guys are essentially carbon copies of each other. Both have losses that make you think they're just not UFC caliber. Both have wins where you can say, wow, that was solid. This guy actually is pretty good. Neither one has particularly great wrestling or striking. I think Chase is probably going to be the more well-trained fighter. I think he's taking his career a little more seriously. And that's not like a dig or anything. I just feel like he's doing all of those things that he's supposed to be doing. And I'm not saying Jordan's not, but I think Jordan's like comfortable in his gym and, you know, keeping things relatively light. Jordan is making improvements, but I think Chase is probably making improvements at a faster pace. But I'm still going to pick Jordan Leavitt in this fight. I think he can be more physical. I think he's going to have the slightly better wrestling. We saw power in his hands. I think Jordan's going to win this fight. And I think we're going to see him twerk. And I'm looking forward to it. After the Mackenzie Dern embarrassment, I think we have to be very careful looking at some of these grapplers. And neither one of these guys is a phenomenal striker, where Jessica Andrade was a powerful striker, which really highlighted how terrible Mackenzie Dern's takedowns are and how her striking isn't as clean as it should be. So we're not going to have that issue here. But as far as just these nerdy jiu-jitsu guys that are not willing to come forward and strike and evolve, how you can be that good at jiu-jitsu and that terrible at wrestling will always baffle me. I will never understand that. You want the fight on the ground to win. That's where you want it. Why are you not getting better at the skill that gets fights to the ground? That's a random rant that applies to both of these people. But Jordan Leavitt is going to be the pick. Let's see if those lines keep moving and if he becomes a bigger and bigger dog, because I may just shoot my shot on that. Then we have an incredible prospect in Michael Morales. He's taking on Jake Matthews. Michael Morales, undefeated in his career. This guy is all the things. He's an absolute savage. He's a freestyle wrestling national champion. He's a Muay Thai national champion from Ecuador. He has fantastic footwork, a great jab, loose boxing, And that allows him to work in and out really well. His takedowns are clean, but they're more throws and trips than traditional shots. He's coming off that decision win over Max Griffin, where he defended 8 takedowns, got one of his own, and doubled the strikes. He's taking on Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews is a well-rounded guy. He's got solid wrestling, very good grappling, and a nice variety of strikes. He works angles well. He has no problem mixing up body shots and head shots. He averages almost 2 takedowns per fight. He has a solid striking differential of 3-2 and very real power in his hands. He's coming off that bounce-back win over Darius Flowers, where he was taken down, but he controlled the striking and he worked in a second-round submission. I personally think that Michael Morales is that guy. I am surprised he's not getting more attention. I mean, obviously he's in a co-main event spot, so that's great, but I'm surprised the UFC is not all in on this guy. His resume is insane, and he actually executes against that resume. He's winning fights by knockout. He's winning by the submission. He's got all the cardio. He's winning decisions, and you know that his wrestling is there. He's going to use it. He's not one of these guys with the wrestling credentials that you're like, what the hell are you doing, man? Use the wrestling. I think Jake Matthews was a prospect at one point, but the way that he got beat down by Matt Semmelsberger, I think that took some wind out of his sails. I don't think Jake's takedowns are going to be enough here. I think Morales is going to dominate this fight. He's the minus 255 favorite. That feels like a discount. I think he can be parlayed. I don't think we have a Gabriel Bonfim situation here. Michael is very talented. He's undefeated. He's finishing everybody, but we have seen him have cardio. The big question mark with Gabriel Bonfim was, does he have cardio? He won't need it. Well, he did need it, and he blew it because he sucks. Michael Morales has cardio, and he actually might not need it because we've seen Jake Matthews get finished before. Anyway, Michael Morales is the very confident pick. Then we have the main event of the evening. Congratulations to Brendan Allen getting a main card slot. No, a main event slot. He's earned it. This guy's 5-fight win streak, beating some of the better people in the division, and he's taking on Paul Craig in his second fight at middleweight. Brendan Allen has become a very well-rounded guy these last few years. He's on a nice 5-fight win streak. He's a BJJ black belt. He's got solid low kicks, solid takedowns, solid striking overall. He's had a nice evolution where he started as a straight grappler, then he overcorrected, became a straight striker, and now he seems to be mixing it all together well. He does have more confidence than we've ever seen him have before, and he's definitely earned this main event slot. He's coming off that big win over Bruno Silva where he dropped him early and then snatched up a submission. He's taking on Paul Craig. This guy's a grappler. He's very dangerous on the ground. He has proven to be incredibly tough. He is never out of a fight, and he has more than one win where his face was just being smashed to smithereens, and then he managed to pull off a come-from-behind victory. Essentially, if he has any room to grapple with you, you're going to need to worry. His striking is just okay, but he does have some power. His biggest issue is that his takedowns are not good. Go back to that rant from the last breakdown about people with good jiu-jitsu and terrible wrestling. So he has no control if a fight goes to the ground or not. It's entirely up to his opponent. And this is going to be his second fight at middleweight. The first one was earlier this year against Andre Muniz, where Paul Craig looked fantastic. He had great physique, meaning like he didn't look too sucked out. He didn't look too dry. This guy is 6'3". At light heavyweight, he looked good. So middleweight, there were a lot of questions going into that fight, but he was Jacob's lock of the week, and he got it done. And being the bigger guy at middleweight makes up for some of Paul Craig's subpar takedowns. He can now bully. He can muscle fights to the ground instead of needing nice, clean ones. But while he did look great against Andre Muniz, I think we now know that Andre's a bit of a BJJ nerd, and I don't think that Paul is going to have that same success against a non-nerd like Brendan Allen. Brendan should have the much better striking, the much better wrestling. Paul is always going to be live on the ground, but I still like Brendan here. I think he's putting everything together at the exact right time in his career. I have him winning this fight. I am very confident and got some bets on him. And if you want to check those out, become a premium member. It's only $10 a month at WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Don't forget to follow our socials. It costs nothing. It's absolutely free. I mentioned earlier, my goal is 20,000 on this YouTube channel by the end of the year. We have a second YouTube channel called Picks Nation. The link is in the description. Subscribe there as well. We will bounce content back and forth. We'll try out new content there. Our betting videos, the best bets video, go there now. That's where they are. We're trying to grow that channel. Every other social is at We Want Picks. It is free to follow. Please do us that favor. And please become a premium member. It's only $10 a month. You're going to unlock the world. Nobody has a premium offering like this, let alone for only $10. We're in the volume game. We're closing in on 3,000 premium members, and it's because of all the tools, the information, the insight, and everything else. You're going to get the detailed data, metrics, and analytics. You're going to get the line movement tracker, giving you the open odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every single fighter. You're going to get more than just me and Jeka Boy. MMA Minute, 30,000 on TikTok, giving you picks, bets, round line leads, method of victory. You're going to get Running Mouth MMA. There's 3 of them, giving you picks, bets, and all of that. You're going to get Artem, giving you Bellator, LFA, UFC, all the promotions. His picks, bets, round line leads. And you're going to get the Pick Doctor, an AI picking fights based solely off of historical data. All of that and everything else that I don't have time to mention, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is only $10 a month.